Hello YouTube, and welcome aboard one of the most well-known planes of the Korean War. None other than the MiG-15. This one is the first variant, not the BIS. It sits at a battle rating of 8.3 in the Russian air tree at Tier 5. For a while, this plane was the only MiG-15 at 8.3, but the recent battle rating changes at the beginning of February moved the MiG-15 BIS down to 8.3 as well, along with a bunch of Sabres. That means, among other things, that there's basically no reason to fly this MiG-15 anymore, since the BIS is better in literally every way. Nonetheless, the performance gap isn't really big enough to be hugely noticeable, so this plane is still certainly competitive. This game is a good demonstration of just that. Now, as anyone who's flown this plane will probably agree, the hardest part of learning the MiG-15 is learning the guns. Even with hundreds of games combined and various MiG-15 variants under my belt, I personally still don't have them down, and the low ammo count really only makes it worse. If you are willing to learn the guns, however, I really think the MiG-15 is a very powerful aircraft. It all comes down to its engine. This thing accelerates better than even some afterburning planes. Its large wings also mean it handles very well at mid to low speed. Combined, and you have a plane that can turn and burn all day and get away with it, because it has no problem getting back up to speed when necessary. The MiG-15 kind of reminds me of flying the Yak-3 back in prop tier. It's got the same energy fighting potential, the same amazing performance in the vertical, and the same trouble with low ammunition. Honestly, this plane really is a joy to fly, especially when you end up in a turn fight with multiple Sabres and you can watch them struggle to stay in the air while you fly circles around them with your beefy engine. Its flaps also give it a lot of extra control authority if you actually get down near stalling speed, again, just like the Yak-3. Now, granted, the MiG-15 does have big and very exploitable drawbacks. First of all, this thing rolls like an absolute brick. So much so that sometimes I have to resort to negative G maneuvers to try to get the guns on target because it would just take way too long to flip the plane over. Its rudder is also awful at high speed, which makes boom and zooming extremely frustrating, because the enemy just has to shift a tiny little bit to dodge your guns. When it's you on the defensive, its crappy roll rate means you also have to be really careful if you want to start as scissors, especially against something like a Sabre. Speaking of Sabres, the MiG's top speed is lower than most of the enemies it faces by a pretty significant degree, and so if they're smart and stay near their own top speed, it often feels like you're swinging at empty air when you try to chase them down. This has only gotten worse with the recent BR changes, of course. This thing honestly should never have to fight supersonics, but apparently Gaijin disagrees. All things considered, the MiG-15 is best played in a sort of baiting role. Your excellent energy retention means you can hold your own against multiple enemies at once if you're careful, and the slower you manage to get your opponents, the bigger your own advantages become, and the easier they will be for your teammates to finish off. Me personally, I really play this thing as an extreme close quarters fist fighter when I can, since I don't trust the guns anywhere outside 400 meters. Even within 400 meters, I usually end up spraying half my ammo before I get any hits, and then I spend the rest of the game rationing the rest of my shells as I desperately try to squeeze in more kills. This game in particular is really the perfect example of that. Despite all this, I definitely recommend flying out the MiG-15, or better, the MiG-15 bis. Though they both take a bit more practice than the Sabre to really learn how to play to their strengths, the MiG and the Sabre are certainly equals on the battlefield. Also, the MiG-15 bis has the option of carrying airburst rockets, which are excellent fun. Thank you very much for watching.